Hey, guess what is happening? We just got the call from our local dealer that our 2 WRXs are ready to pick up. So we've got the whole marketing crew kind of scrambling to get ready and start filming some of the media that we're going to be putting out to you guys. First things first, grabbing all the keys for the 2020 WRX that we currently have that you guys have probably seen in videos. We're trading that one in for those two 22s. And as you can see, we've got the whole marketing area cleaned out in preparation for these, so we're going to hit the ground running as soon as they come in. We've got one for our engineering team, one for the marketing team, so we're really able to kind of hit all of the angles and really start building one and start doing the research and development on future GrimmSpeed parts on one. So really exciting. Let's get to the dealership and get our hands on these cars. We were intending to do a back-to-back comparison of this car with the 22, but because we have to trade this in, we can't really do that. So maybe we could do like a comparison review while we go to the dealership. Pros and cons of this car. Pros, the interior is much better than the earlier generation. I particularly hated the 08 to 14 WRX interior. I think it's the worst that Subaru's ever made, and that includes the old GC stuff, which I actually really like. They're kind of nostalgic for me. But this interior is way, way nicer, so it's a better driving experience. One thing, speaking of interior, that I'm dreading is out of the 2 WRXs, one's a base model, one's a limited, and the base model has that horrendous center console that looks like a Nintendo DS. I think these center consoles on the 20s look really great, and the limited spec center console on the 22s looks great, but the base model does not, so we're going to have to do something about that. But guaranteed we're going to make fun of it as soon as we get it, because it's terrible if you haven't seen it. The chassis itself is a lot stronger. The FA20 is a lot nicer of an engine, obviously having a 6-speed. So coming from the earlier gen WRX, the GR, this is a much better car. I don't know if there's going to be as much of a stark contrast or difference between this and the VB chassis that we're about to pick up, but I do have high hopes from what I've heard online so far. Oh yeah, that power! So one important thing to say is that this car is now completely stock. Thanks to Corey, he brought it back to stock for the trade-in, but it did have a Stage 2 package on it, and it actually had all sorts of parts because we used this car for testing. The last thing it had was a Stage 2, so, you know, another 30 horsepower or so over stock. So it is a little bit slower in its current configuration, but it was a pretty fun car when it had the couple of performance mods and the tune on it. A good daily driver. Ton of Crosstreks and Foresters. Where's the good stuff? Hey look, there's an Outback with GrimmSpeed plates right there. See, this is why we like going to the Subaru dealership. You always see enthusiasts sort of sprinkled throughout. There's people working here that are GrimmSpeed customers, people that are trading up and buying cars.
But I saw something outside when we were pulling up, and I want to go check it out. It's something pretty interesting. A little familiar. When I say a little, I mean very familiar. That is what I think it is. An Outback Wilderness with GrimmSpeed plate frames on it. Trails by GrimmSpeed. Wish I had some stickers with me. I'd dump them on them. The gold accents. Nice wilderness badge. It's an awesome color too. The black wheels. Looks mean. It's ready to hit the trails. What do you think of the weather? Good stuff?
I don't care about the weather, those are the cars. very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone at Maury's. If you're local in Minnesota, you guys have a couple locations, right? This is the Minnetonka one.
This is Minnetonka.
Yeah, Brooklyn Park. There's a bunch. So Maury's, they always treat us right. It's where we get our cars. So shout out to them. Shout out to Alex. Thank you, everyone here. I'm eager to drive these cars. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we're just cruising down the road here, and we're just looking around, taking it in. We've been in this car all of 2 minutes at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 minutes. 2 minutes might be a stretch.
You gotta count the 3 that we were inside the dealership.
Yes. Before they moved the cross-track and let us pull out. We're just looking around and just commenting on all the materials in here and how high quality everything feels in here, and thinking about how that compares to, I drive a 2004 Forester. Everything in that car is plastic. But in here we've got leather, we've got nice stitching, just everything. The giant touchscreen is very new for me. And just everything feels really high quality, down to these seats. I think these are some of my favorite seats that I've ever been in, just in terms of how they hold me in place. I'm a pretty lightweight guy, pretty skinny, but this Alcantara material really, I'm not moving around.
It is, and it's very nice feeling. Certainly to be in, but just to the touch, it really feels like a higher quality material than maybe we're used to. And being that this is the premium, there are higher quality materials throughout the rest of the car. We have, some hard plastic up here. You're never really going to be touching that. Passenger side has some soft touch. You have the leather appointed trim, I think is how the dealership likes to say it. Some real nice carbon fiber-esque panels here. Steering wheel feels great. It's got some good contours on it that just kind of sit right in the hand. Wish the seats were a little bit deeper, maybe, but like you said, I'm a tall guy, so I kind of always have that problem, but it feels great throughout. I'm not really sure. We'll have to kind of get more in-depth with the base versus the premium when we get back to the shop in terms of kind of fit and finish, but I'm really impressed so far, and it seems Subaru's really stepping up their game.
Well, the steering wheel seems really bulky. I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way, but it just feels like more of an event up here. There's a lot going on, and it seems thicker. Mm-hmm. And you can actually see, the top is thinner than the side, so it has this kind of race-inspired wheel. The other thing I noticed right away is the entertainment screen center console area is not as bad as I was envisioning, or that I've seen from like Google photos. It's actually okay. It's acceptable for the base model. Obviously, the other one, the Limited, has a much nicer system. I'm sure Corey's in the car behind us talking about it right now. But I could live with this, and I'm assuming it's only a matter of time before the aftermarket gives you a different option here anyway. So, otherwise, interior is good. I have seen and sat inside one of these Limited cars at the Subi events that we go to, so it's not a huge surprise to me. But just like I said before in other videos and media, it is a nicer interior, and we were just talking about the FA that we drove in and traded in, how that interior was leagues ahead of the GR chassis. And so every no surprise here, but every generation they've really stepped up the interior game. I think that's been one of the biggest criticisms of Subaru for the last, as long as I can remember, that people hated the interior on these things. So, problem fixed. Well, we're about to take the on-ramp. Let's give it a little power. Well, it's definitely a smooth power delivery. It's not knocking my socks off in terms of how much power it has, which is an expectation. We're talking only 3 horsepower over the 2020 WRX that we just traded in. So, but I mean, for a daily car so far, very solid. Interior feels nice, power delivery is good. It's got all the systems. It's telling me roads may be icy, and it is right. Even though it's mid-April, we are falling back into winter in Minnesota, and the car knows that, which is nice. A lot of tech in this thing. But also being the base model, we have a bit less features than the one behind us. There's no sunroof. The wheel package is obviously kind of the basic one. So those are deliberate things. There's a reason we chose the base for the marketing car, because A, we want the lightest car with the least amount of options, especially if we end up taking this thing out to the track or making it more of an aggressive sports car later on. And also we're going to be switching out a lot of those things. So obviously the wheels are going to be ditched, and any trim packages or anything we would have gotten in the limited, we don't really care about. We're going to start modifying this car pretty much right away. Shop with these two new WRXs. We're gonna get straight to work seeing which existing GrimmSpeed parts fit. And you're gonna have to forgive us, our welders are buzzing away working on aluminum. That's what you hear in the background. So we'll talk as loud as we can so you guys can hear everything. The first part we're gonna start with is the super popular GrimmSpeed license plate relocation kits, which I've got Corey working on right now. He grabbed a couple of different size bolts, as you can see here, the 08 to 14 generation, this long one, and the 15 plus. So we're gonna see what works with this bumper. It looks a little bit more chunky than the 15 through 21, so let's see what fits. Corey, which one is this? This is the smaller one?
This is the smaller one.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically what we're trying to see is how inset to the bumper it is. We do include these two spacers with all of our kits, so you can kind of space the plate away from your bumper depending on if you have an aftermarket bumper, OEM bumper, etc. So this gives you a little bit of customization in terms of depth, but just judging here, it looks like we're going to contact the bumper. So if we use this kit, we decide to use this kit, we probably will need to use both of these spacers to get this U-bracket off so that the backer does not contact the bumper itself.
Right.
So now we can see what the longer bolt looks like, and it might be too long to give us a good look, so we just have to make the decision of what looks best for this car, if it's using the longer bolt or using the spacers.
So what I'm seeing is the shorter bolt with the spacers, you could fit the plate frame, but it would be a little bit crooked, kind of along the edge of this bumper, versus the long bolt would be straight on. So it kind of is up to your own preference. So we decided to go with the shorter bolt. That's the 18 plus WRX style. I'll show you the part number right there on one of our kits. And I think that with a couple of spacers, this should fit pretty nice, especially if we angle it, it'll be nice and flush with the bumper.
Yeah, the curvature of the bumper kind of makes this one a tough one, because you either have it very flush with the bumper with the shorter bolt, or if you use the longer bolt, then you get a really nasty gap over here because it puts the plate right here. So
yeah. And ultimately, this is why we test products, because now we know out of the two kits, one works better than the other, but neither are really ideal. So what we'll likely do is create a bolt somewhere in between. If the longer one's 8 inches and this one's 6, we'll do probably a 7-inch bolt. That way you don't have to use the spacers, or if you do, it extends it even further. So it works for now, and if you guys have a 22, then you can pick up that 18 plus WRX one. It'll work just fine, but eventually we'll likely have a specific version for these cars based on bumper fitment. Well, there you have it. The relocation kit is on. Super easy install. It takes just a few minutes. We've got the GrimmSpeed license plate frame over the top, and we just need to go install it in the back.
Oh.
There you go. First mod complete. It's awesome. The next small part we want to try out is the GrimmSpeed shift knob. And so we're going to pop the OEM one off, and Corey's going to let me know if it fits.
I am going to.
Hopefully it does.
It's looking pretty similar to the last one, so I have faith here.
Right, right. There have been some dramatic interior changes, but it looks like not with the reverse lockout. We just need to make sure that it does actually fit. Perfect. So I guess we're keeping this one in. All right, chuck this one. We don't need it. Okay, GrimmSpeed shift knobs, check. All right, next up on the parts, we thought of a couple different things that could fit.
Gonna try battery tie down.
there.
Oil cap, should have no issues with those two.
Right.
The other thing we are checking is panel filters.
Yes, and that one's a bit of a guess, so we're gonna grab a few fitments. There's the 19 to 20 STI, and then, what is this one, 18 plus WRX?
This is 8 to 20 WRX.
8 to 20 WRX, that's right.
A ton of fitment on that one, so.
Awesome. Hopefully it works with ours.
Just like that.
Super easy, and looks good. Battery tie down and oil cap fit nicely. Now the last thing to try out is the filter. These are always a bit of a pain to get out, especially when they're brand new. Not too bad. Well, we compared the OEM filter to both the 19 through 21 STI and the 08 Plus WRX version, and it looks like the STI is going to be the better fit. If we hold it up together, the dimensions are almost identical. It looks like the OE is slightly taller, but it is this soft rubber material that indents in a little bit. And when we test fit our Drycon panel filter in the housing, it slides right in, seats really well, doesn't wobble around too much or anything like that, and all the corners are sealed. So it looks to be a direct fit. Now we're gonna wait for our engineers to actually verify that. If they have to make any sort of modifications to the Drycon filters, then they will do that, and we'll have a specific fitment for these, or we might just say that the 19 through 21 fits perfectly after all that testing and verification. So far, so good. Well, Corey pulled up the car to the lift. We're gonna be getting up in the air because the next episode is gonna be all about going underneath the car and seeing if any of our existing GrimmSpeed products fit or if we can modify something in order to fit. The way we're gonna leave off this episode is with one last modification, and it is something pretty cool. It is the limited series of GrimmSpeed banners. This one is the Cherry Blossom version, and these will be out eventually in a limited format. You can see this is one of 50. And we just thought it was appropriate to do the Cherry Blossom Red on the white car, on the newest generation, as sort of a callback to the heritage color that Subaru's had for a long time. So let's stick this on. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. This is the first of many, and the second one will be dropping shortly. We've got our editing guys working on some of that right now. So stay tuned. Follow us on our YouTube channel. Follow us on our Instagram and our Facebook. Share our stuff around, and there's much, much more to come on both of these cars.